Live with CDP Sports Talk, a weekly sports and entertainment podcast sponsored by Barry Cullen Chevrolet. Live on YouTube, Facebook, Twitter, Twitch, and LinkedIn. And on audio via Apple Podcast, Google Podcast, Spotify, Anchor FM, iHeartRadio, Amazon Music, Radio Public, and TuneIn. Now, here's your host, Chris Palme.
Good afternoon, everybody. Welcome to Season 5, Episode 47 of Live with CDP Sports Talk, brought to you by Barry Cullen Chevrolet Dealership at 905 Woodlawn Road West in the Guelph Auto Mall. Check out barrycullen.com for the newest selection of new and pre-owned GM vehicles, or give them a call at 519-824-0210, or you can even email them at info@barrycullen.com as well. Guys, I'm looking forward to my show today. My guest name is Lee Newton. She's a Nashville recording artist, singer, songwriter, star, and in 2020, Lee won the Vocalist Year of the 2020. Lee won the Vocalist of the Year award at the Josie Music Awards, and her albums the last 2 years have won awards as well in 2021 and 2022 as well. So I'm really looking forward to speaking to my guest today, Lee Newton, who's I believe in North Carolina right now. We had a little mishap with the time change, but we got it worked out. Good afternoon, Lee. How you doing?
I'm good. How are you doing, Chris?
Good. And I was going to say, congratulations on such a great career so far, and winning all these awards for these albums and stuff like that. And you have a current new single out called Be the Man as well.
Yes. And it's great to be on your show. I'm super excited to be here with you. And I know we've been talking about it for a little bit, and I'm glad that I'm here actually getting to sit down and talk to you for a little bit. But yeah, I've most definitely so proud of Be the Man. It's a song that I wrote inspired by my little boy. His name is Cash, and he's actually at the beginning of the song. It's just a beautiful song that kind of comes full circle with a little boy growing up, learning how to be a man, not having a father around, and just kind of learning how to be a father from that, throughout life. And it kind of comes full circle, and it's just a beautiful song, and I'm so proud of it. It is on the Unleashed album. That was my country album that won Album of the Year at the Josie Music Awards. So that was last year. So I'm super excited.
Congratulations. I think this is your fourth album in the last couple of years?
Yes.
Amazing.
First album. Yeah, I've been rocking and rolling, and already planning my next one. So, the first one was called Undamaged, and I wrote every song on that album, it won EP Album of the Year that year, and then I followed it up the next following year with Undamaged, which won the Album of the Year that was held at the Grand Ole Opry, and which was just amazing within itself. And then I did something kind of special for everybody this year for Valentine's Day, because everybody's kind of anticipating my gospel album that I had been talking about. And I had to keep putting it off because so many amazing artists kept coming aboard. So it was put off for great reason, but it had been a few months. So I decided to put out a Valentine's Day album called From the Heart. And it is just a whole album full of love songs that are covers that range anywhere from Lionel Richie, Stuck on You, to Vince Gill, to Chris Christopherson. I mean, there's just so many beautiful songs on there. And it, like I said, it was from the heart. It was for Valentine's Day. And then of course, my newest album that just released on Easter, which is my first gospel album, called Crossroads. And I mean, there's so much to talk about on it. It's just amazing. The artists that are on there with me, it's amazing.
Generally, how many songs do you release on an album?
Well, that depends. I know if it's got I think somebody can release like an album with 7 or 8 and call it an album. I have been putting at least 12 to 13 songs on each album. And it's crazy how everything comes about. Like when I first started on Unleashed, Unleashed album. That's my full length album, the first full length album that I did, and it had 13 songs on it. And it from start to the end, it's like everything just had to fit, and it just came together, and it just made like a whole. And I always heard artists talk about that, but I never really understood it. I thought, oh, you just record a song and you put a bunch of songs on an album. But when you start writing your songs and you start piecing together and start putting together this album, it becomes way deeper than that. So and the same thing with this Crossroads album, my gospel album. They all have little clips of my dad. That's kind of like a tradition thing that I've been doing, is adding my dad, who passed away when I was 11. He's the biggest reason why I'm in music today. He's the one that taught me how to play the guitar. And I was trying to think. I was 7 years old when he started teaching me how to play the guitar. And he was a cab driver. I grew up in a little small town in Western North Carolina next to a paper mill. And oh my gosh, it was very hard at times, because like I said, my dad was a cab driver, so we didn't really have a lot of money. My mom was a recovering alcoholic, and she suffered from mental depression. So it was a very hard childhood growing up, but I always turned to music. And this gospel album meant so much because of the hymns that I grew up listening to. They've been with me throughout my whole life. And I knew that when I got to a period of where I could record a gospel album, I wanted those songs on there. So to have people like Joe Bonzel from the Oak Ridge Boys, and T. Graham Brown, and Rhonda Vincent, and Tony Jackson, my fiance Dale Houston joined me on Merle Haggard. Well, Merle Haggard had done the song, but it was One Day at a Time. We did that one. And Deborah Allen. I mean, the list goes on and on, at the people who joined me on this album to make it possible. So I know my daddy is most definitely smiling down from heaven, looking at everything that's gone on. And just this has been in 3 years, with the releasing the albums, because I didn't start really writing songs till about 3 years ago.
Wow.
Up until then. Yeah.
So the same time I started my media podcast career.
Now
3 years ago, March 2020.
Wow. Yeah, I've sang my whole life. I was in bands. I had 2 cover bands, and they were rock, Southern rock, blues, funk, you name it. We played it. And when I was 29, I actually got to go and fly to New York City and do a few shows with 3 original members of Skynyrd. And that was really huge for this little Canton girl that had never been anywhere. And they were just all so nice to me. And, I've been in and out of it. But like I said, I did a lot of covers, and I loved singing, but I had never, I knew I had a lot to say because I had lived a lot throughout my life, a lot of, hardships and heartbreak, and, love and breaking up and being done bad, and, just a lot of stuff that people go through life on a daily basis, but I didn't start writing until this October will be 3 years. And I've not looked back since. I just poured my heart out into these songs that are on this album, and all the albums. And I'm telling you, they tell my life, but they also tell other people's lives too, because other people have lived this. So that's the amazing part of this journey, is the songs that I write have just turned around to inspire and bring hope to so many people. And I get messages on a daily basis, like tons, talking about how much my songs have done for them. So that's an amazing feeling. Huge, amazing feeling right there.
Yeah, I lost my father when I was 13, 2
Oh,
days before Christmas, so I had to grow up early too, and I know what it's like to have hardships and hard times, and I always found when I was younger, music helped me get through the hard times. I have no music talent, by the way, but, just listening to various music, 70s, 80s music, positive, upbeat music really helped me get through it, and, it's just great hearing your story about how you got into it and stuff like that, and how your dad influenced your music career as well.
yeah. I mean, and I know from experience, I'm so sorry about that because I know how hard it is, growing up without your dad. That's
Yeah.
my dad. Like I said, my mom was a recovering alcoholic, and the song that I've got out in the video that I've got out now is called "Change the Ending," and I wrote "Change the Ending." But it came after the death of Naomi Judd, who I just grew up. She was such an influence to me, in music. But I never realized until after she passed how she had battled so with the mental depression. I never realized that. I always thought, I just had this vision of how Naomi Judd was, and I just never really thought about her going through that deep depression. And when I found that out, it really triggered me back to my really young, I mean, like even before 10 years old, remember coming home from school and my mom would be just stuck in her bedroom for days and days upon time, and, just kind of the same way that Naomi did. But, just I kind of had to fend for myself. And my dad was gone because he was a cab driver. So he worked 12 hours a day. And he was, the only time I ever got to see my dad was if I rode around with him. And we would sit outside on the steps and, he'd get me a moon pie and a RC cola and we would learn how to play the guitar. And, those are the memories that I've held on to my whole entire life. But a lot of the lessons that I learned from both my mom and dad taught me who I am today, how to be a good person and good morals, and what maybe sometimes what not to be. um, and I think in life we all have different decisions that we make, but in the end, God works it around to where you end up where you need to be. So that's where I'm at in my life right now. I know that my music is a God sent, and I know that I'm supposed to be using the songs that I write to get out there to people who need them. So,
Do you remember the first song that you wrote and the first song you performed in front of a live audience,
I
when you were younger,
do.
and were you a little bit nervous?
Okay, well, and it's wild because they both came at such separate times. So I'll answer your first question or your second question first. The first song that I ever got to perform live with a band, I was 14 years old, and I actually have a video clip of it. But I sang a song of another artist that I totally looked up to. Oh my gosh, like I just loved her so much. But it was a Lorrie Morgan song, and I sang Except for Monday. And I remember getting on that stage, and it was the first time that I had ever sang in front of a live audience, and I was hooked. I mean, I didn't stand there. I was all over that stage. It just came natural. And there was a part of me in that moment that I just felt that my dad was there, and I just felt close to him, and that I was making him proud because, he would always sit and have me learn all these songs, and he'd record me and him singing together. So like getting to be on stage in front of somebody, there was no nerves. I do get nervous sometimes, especially if I'm doing like the national anthem or if I'm singing in church. I always get nervous. But as far as getting on stage and just singing a show, no, I love it so much. It's such an adrenaline rush. I have such a passion for performing. And then for the first question, the first song that I ever wrote was 3 years ago. And it was a song about my dad. I knew the first song that I wrote would have to be about my daddy. And it's called Daddy's Little Girl. And it's talking about the second verse goes sitting on the steps at the old cab stand with an RC cola moon pie in my hand, learning how to play guitar, going to be a big star. So, you know, that was my first song. And that song gave me the confidence to be like, oh man, I can write a song. So it's basically telling your story. You just talk and tell how you're feeling. And all my songs came from that. And then I wrote I probably started writing about 2 or 3 right after that Daddy's Little Girl. And then I went through a really, really life-changing moment where I was in a marriage to where it was very abusive. And after years of that, at the very last straw, I ended up having to completely like flee from my home with my little boy, and leaving everything behind, everything that I had worked hard for, everything that I thought that I had, those securities completely went away in that moment. And I said, okay, God, I know you don't want me to live like that. Lead me, guide me. I know that I'm making the right decision. And in that moment, God, seriously, I never needed for anything. My little boy never needed for anything. God sent angels right and left. The people who I had sang and sent, put my videos out there and did requests for them throughout those years, they all came to my rescue. And they started, I ended up finding a little place for me and Cash. This lady had took me and Cash in for a couple weeks. And during this time of rebuilding my life, I was at my very lowest. It was a very hard time when you're, starting all over again. You've lost everything. You're basically homeless. But still I had such a peace. I had such a peace within me. And during this time is when God gave me the song Strength of a Woman. And that song, even today, it still gets me every time I listen to it. And it still has so many people writing me. There's a big thing for that song. It's meant to do big things. But during that time, that song is what helped me heal. And God just made a way for me to keep writing and keep recording. And then I had so many great opportunities that came into my life to where I was able to have a great circle around me. God sent me love. And I know I'm just going all over the place, but he sent me an amazing man who believes in me and wants me to shine. And we work together. And he asked me to marry him last year. So we're getting married in 2 months. So we have so much. And we sing. We just got through releasing our duet called Burning Boats. Check it out, everybody. It's absolutely gorgeous. But yeah, God has just really, he's really blessed me in these last few years, but I feel like it's because I have really let him lead me and I've listened to him. If I feel something in here that I need to do, I don't go and do the opposite. I'm like, okay, God, I'm going to do it. It might not make any sense to me, and sure enough, it ends up being something that turns into something wonderful. And I know it's a God sent. So
it just shows you how important having faith is. And I can tell how passionate you are about what you're doing. And I really appreciate you sharing all this as well. And I found a few years ago, I was not happy in my other profession. It paid well, but I was not happy. And the last 3 years, I've been working on a new career. And this is what I feel like I'm meant to do because I love storytelling. I love talking to people, connecting with them, and entertaining them as well. Maybe not as a musician, but as a podcaster and a radio host.
Hey, and that's it. We all have our gifts. We all have our things that God gives us to use. I don't know. I know we follow each other on Twitter, and I don't know if you saw this absolutely beautiful portrait that this man, Ron, did for me. And he has Parkinson's, and he uses his talent. Usually he does in memory of portraits of people and sends them to the family members to bring peace or comfort to them. But he uses what God's given him, and God, I mean, you ought to see these portraits. They're absolutely breathtakingly gorgeous. So yeah. But he did one for me, and I mean, I'm still crying over it. So pretty. But that's God's gifts. God gives us these gifts, so we need to use them.
And one thing too, when you're in the music industry, it's important not just to have faith in God, but also to have a strong support system, whether it's with people that are in your family or
Oh yeah,
friends or whatever. That's very important in a
yeah.
profession like that.
Oh, it's major important. I mean, I've went my whole life, and there's this one of my songs is called "I Want It All," and basically it's me throughout my whole life being told by people that I was in a relationship with, who people around me, my hometown, everybody telling me that I was not good enough. Oh, you can't do it, or you're not going to ever make it, or you're not going to ever get to this far, or you can't record that, or you can't write songs, or it was always so negative, or you can't be a wife and sing too, or you can't be a mother and do it, and it's like after a point, if you don't have that support around you, no, you can't, because you have to have people around you that believe in you and support you and let you be that person that you need to be, that artistic person, that to be able. And I've got this outrageous personality. I mean, there's no time. I am like this from 6 o'clock in the morning to 12 or 1 o'clock at night. It's every single day. I mean, it's wide open. My wheels are constantly going, but I've always had people try to shut me down. And, my fiance now, he said, they just didn't want you to shine. You've never been able to just be you and shine. And he allows me the space to be able to be that way. And he loves that. And he encourages me. So yes, it is so important. Listen to the song "I Want It All." It explains it all, because it's, you can have it all if you go after it. You just got to block out the negativity and keep the negative people to the wayside, because not only do they say negative things that can hurt you, they can get in your mind, and your mind can be a very powerful thing. And that's,
Mindset. Yeah.
you got to be strong-willed. And yeah, so I just kind of put my blinders on. I know what I want to do. And I'm not in this to try to make it as if that's what you want to call it, making it. I mean, I just want to be able to do what I love to do. I want to play shows. I want to be able to make a living. We all have to make a living. And if that opportunity were to come and it was a good opportunity, hey, I would take it, but it would have to be a good opportunity first, though.
But no,
Because I
that's
do everything on my own. I mean, I don't have a manager. I don't have booking. I do everything. So, but I do have a great backing system, though, and people backing me.
And that's why listening skills is important, because I was going to ask you that question about a manager and stuff like that. But great advice also, Lee, about when I switched careers at about 47, 48. You're too old. You don't have the college degree. Nobody wants an old man doing a podcast. And I've had a lot of people support me, especially the younger generation. But I've also had negative people and naysayers. And one thing also, too, in any new career, not just music, but even in media, you're going to get your successes, but you're also going to get your rejections. You just don't take them personally and use those rejections, setbacks, I call them,
Mhm.
as motivation to even do better in the future.
Yeah, most definitely. You said it perfect right there. That's what you got to do. I mean, um, I've always been a dreamer. I will always dream until the day I die. I think that you always have to have those goals and those dreams that of what you want to be and what you want to accomplish. And mine for the very longest time was to be on the stage of the Grand Ole Opry. And that's because my dad, when I was a little girl, he would sit me up on the coffee table, as a little old wooden coffee table, And my first name's Brenda, so I'm named after Brenda Lee, which is the lady who sang Rocking Around the Christmas Tree, Little Miss Dynamite. And he would say, Brenda Lee, you're going to be on the stage of the Grand Ole Opry one day. And so that stuck. He put it out into the universe. It stuck in my head. And then after losing him, it always was there. And then, through these years, it's been like a drive. Like, I want to be on the stage of the Opry, because I felt in my heart that if I got to stand on the stage of the Grand Ole Opry and sing, that I would have this moment with my dad, that I would be like, oh man, Dad, I made it. I've made it here. I'm making you proud, but, I've realized this within the last month or so, in my quest of trying so hard to get on the Grand Ole Opry, I have lost sight of a lot of stuff. I have accomplished so much in these last few years. I mean, getting to open up for legends like Ronnie Millsap and the Gatlin Brothers and Diamond Rio, getting ready to open for Randy Travis. I mean, I've sang with all these amazing people. And you know what? I don't have to sing on that Grand Ole Opry to make my daddy proud. I don't. He is already so proud of me, and he's proud of me too for standing up for true country music. Because the Grand Ole Opry, I love the Grand Ole Opry, and there are a lot of artists and musicians that's still on there that bring that true essence of country music to the Grand Ole Opry and what country is, but it's changed so much, and it's become so commercialized. And my daddy even did, if he was here now, his dream probably would be totally different, because it's not the same Grand Ole Opry that him and I used to listen to when I was a little girl. So I've stopped beating myself up over not getting to play the Grand Ole Opry, because it's, I know that he's already proud. So that's what I just keep telling myself. And hey, if it's meant one day for me to do it, it'll be in God's timing, and it'll be the right time.
Two things I wanted to ask you about. Was there anybody else in your family that had musical talent? And just thoughts on Randy Travis and how much he's meant to your music career as a performer and as a fan of his.
Well, in my family, my dad was the only one. He played guitar, and he's actually on the beginning of Unleashed. It's got a small clip of my daddy talking and introducing me and him, where we're at the cab stand and he's playing and me and him singing together. And on the beginning of Crossroads, that's my daddy singing I Saw the Light. So he would play, but he didn't play professional. He played at the cab stand, and but nobody else in my family was musical. But when I was a little girl, he's the one that played Hank Williams and Patsy Cline and all these great artists. And right before he passed away in 89, that's a long time ago. But right before he passed away in 89, he started loving Keith Whitley. He loved Keith Whitley. Oh my gosh. And that's how I first started listening to Keith Whitley. And I think, Keith Whitley passed away in 89 as well. But he also loved Randy Travis. And he wore out that cassette with Digging Up Bones. My daddy did. And there is a small clip. I found it of where my daddy had me sing one of the Randy Travis songs when I was like 7 or 8 years old. And my daddy's playing the guitar. And I'm like fumbling for words. I didn't have the words memorized good, but my daddy's trying to feed me the lines. It's so cute. I'm so nasally singing. I'm a little country, little mountain girl singing real nasally, because her daddy's wanting her to sing. And, but it's so wild, because back then sitting there thinking, oh my gosh, if my daddy knew all those years ahead that I would get to be a special guest opening for Randy Travis, and that show, he would just be so ecstatic. I mean, he would be so excited and so happy for me. And I'm super excited about getting to do this show and getting to meet Randy. What they do is they have James Dupree come, and he does the vocals with Randy Travis's original band, and they do all, I think it's like 16 of Randy's hits. And Randy and his wife sit on stage. There's like a huge production. They do a lot of the videos, and it's just a very intimate setting. And they really want people to interact with Randy and get to meet Randy. And I know, for one, I'm so excited, not, to be able to be opening for him, but to get to meet him, it's going to be a dream come true. Because, Ronnie Millsap was my other one. I was just so excited about getting to meet them, because, he's from North Carolina, Ronnie Millsap is. So when he found I was too, he just grabbed my hand. And Randy Travis is from North Carolina. So it's pretty cool that to get to open up for him.
For somebody that's never been to North Carolina or even Nashville, which is on my bucket list, what would you say to somebody who's looking to visit those states or city?
Oh, wow. Well, they're both beautiful. Of course, I'm more partial to North Carolina just because that's where I grew up. But I love staying in North Carolina, and that's where we will reside for a long time, not unless we decide later on to move to Tennessee. But North Carolina is just absolutely beautiful. The mountains, the scenery, and I'm all about, I will take every back road there is. I am just that girl. And sometimes it's good, but sometimes it's really bad if my fiance wants to get somewhere really quick and I'm wanting to take all these back roads. And but I just, I've never liked that whole fast life, fast moving space. I love being able to be here and stay grounded. And then I go back and forth, and do my thing. But North Carolina's just got some beautiful scenery places to go. I would recommend it to anybody to come to North Carolina. People are so nice. You need over in a lane, usually, unless you get some places that are kind of crazy driving, but usually for the most part, everybody's kind of pretty courteous and nice. And Nashville's just amazing. I would recommend probably going more towards Music Valley, where the Troubadour and all that is. That's more of your traditional country. I think more downtown is turned into like a little mini Vegas. I don't go downtown much because it's just so, like I said, it's so commercialized. Now I stay more towards the Music Valley area, and that's where a lot of your history and stuff is, and with country music, the real country music.
Are you a fan of Elvis Presley? And if so, have you ever been to Graceland?
Well, I love Elvis. I mean, who does not love Elvis? I absolutely love Elvis Presley. I've done a lot of his songs, and I've met a lot of people that worked with Elvis. I did, I opened up for both T.G. Shepherd not long ago. And T.G. actually, Elvis is the one that took him in when he was homeless, and he took him in when he was like 13, 14. They went out. He tells a story about them, him meeting Elvis, and I think they went bowling that night, or skating. It was either bowling or skating, but from that point on, I mean, he ended up living with Elvis. And Ronnie McDowell, opened up for him a couple times, and, there's just a lot of history with that. So it's pretty cool, but yeah, love Elvis. But I have never, it's coming though. It's coming to go to Graceland, but I've never got to go to Graceland yet. It is coming though.
My mom's a huge fan of Elvis Presley, and I might want to end up taking her there as well. I'm going to put you on the spot here. Do you have a favorite particular Elvis Presley song? And he did get into gospel music. Did he do that earlier in his career or later in his career?
I think, I think that he did a lot later, but I think that he throughout the whole time. I mean, every time he sang, I think, it was very apparent when he sang gospel, he just had that call, and he had that gift of where he, you sing it. I mean, it's just like you listen to Elvis sing gospel song, and it's just like, wow, it's just amazing. And it's very touching. But, I think my favorite Elvis song, and it was a gospel song, but when he done the Bridge Over Troubled Water, and I guess it's really, I mean, it could be gospel or he didn't, but that was one that I always heard him do that really touched me. And I'm trying to think, gosh, he just had so many. I Can't Help Falling in Love with You. I love that one. I love all, man, there's so many. I could just go on and on and on. It's funny though, my little boy Cash, we kind of gave him a hard time at Christmas because it was, oh gosh, what was the name of the song? Here Comes Santa Claus. And he wanted to hear the original, like the Gene Autry version. And my fiance kept playing the Elvis. He was like, no, I can't understand him. I can't understand him. It was really cute just because he's so little and he don't understand that it's, hey, that's Elvis Presley. You're going to love that one day. Oh, skating. I see really little right there. Yeah, the skating.
Yeah,
they did
Dale Houston.
That's my fiance. Hey,
oh, hi, Dale. Thank you so much for watching. And I'm hoping I'm doing a good job with Lee on here as well. And this is great. I just love hearing about your stories and stuff like that.
I'm telling you, we have a lot of stories. Like I said, our new single, and it's going to be on his album. You'll have to get him on your show next. He's releasing his album before long, and he just released his first single, "What the Buck," happened to country music. And then we just did Burning Boats. So it's such a beautiful love song. So
I'll be honest, I'm still new to country music, but I've had guests on lately and I'm really enjoying it. And I'm a 70s, 80s classic rock guy, but listening to country music, just I'm now becoming a fan of country music because I just love the passion of the music and then the upbeat songs as well. And music, when you're having a tough time in life, can help you get through it. And now I understand why some people go into the industry, not just for the fame, but it's because they're passionate about it and it helps them cope with their situations in their life as well. And they love to give back to the audience, like entertain them.
Oh yeah. And that's where I feel, and that's the ones that I support, because I love giving support to other artists. I always have. If I feel like they're genuine people and they're doing it for the right reasons, you get some, and that's with any kind of line of work, anything you run into, you're going to find the ones that are out for what they can get, and and those are the ones you have to kind of just look out for. But you've got a lot of people out there that are really genuine and they are doing it all for the right reasons. And you can tell that, I know, I thank God that's one thing he really gifted me with was common sense and a sense of being able to pick up on things. And and so I love helping other artists if I can, whatever I can do. I mean, I'm like a little peon in this whole thing, but I'm willing to help anybody. And I want to see people shine and have their moments, because there's enough people and people love so many things. There's enough for every artist to shine and be able to share their music. And I've just always been that way. I've never been a jealous type person. So
pay it forward is what I say. And if I'm lucky enough to make it in the radio industry, I will do the same thing as well, because I've had people help me, support me, and I would like to do the same thing as well.
Yeah. And I've had people, different ones, like, especially like even on, on the Unleashed album, I did, and it's the only cover that I have on the album, but it was a big one. And we've talked about it, but it was, it hit #1 on the Indie Express chart. And the Working Girl Blues is a cover of a Merle Haggard song, Working Man Blues. Leona Williams, who was married to Merle Haggard, she actually did the song Working Girl Blues years later, and recorded it. And so Dale had turned me on to Leona Williams, and I just absolutely fell in love with her. And so I started doing the song live at my shows, and I'm like, gosh, I got to record this. And so I'm sitting there one day in my car, and I'm like thinking, as those wheels turning, and I'm like, man, I'm just going to reach out. And how cool would it be to record this? And I'm going to send Leona a message, and I'm going to see if she'll sing with me on it, And then my producer was like, well, I'll send a message to Pam Tillis and see if she'll sing with you on it. And I'm like, do you think that she would? Like, to me? Really? You think you're going to send that? And he was like, yeah. So he sent it to Pam Tillis. Lee on it said yes. Pam came back and said, yes, I'll be on it too. And I'm sitting here freaking out, because I was like, oh my dear Lord, this is happening, this is cool. And so, and then Leroy Parnell came and played the slide on. I mean, that song ended up being so awesome. And it is a powerhouse. And, if Merle was still alive today, I know that he would absolutely love it. And he would be jealous of the track because it sounds awesome.
Since we're talking,
really awesome.
Since we're talking about this, and we talked about it in a message, do I have your permission to use the Working Blues song right now on our show?
You sure do.
Okay, just because I know how funny YouTube and Facebook are with copyright stuff, so I make sure when
you have permission.
Okay, because when I have musicians on my show as guests, I always like to ask them, and I like to promote your work here in Ontario, in Canada as well. So just 1 second, I'm going to play the clip right here. Yeah.
It's a big job getting by, trying to be a wife. I've been a working girl damn near all my life, and I'll keep on working as long as my two hands are fit to use. I may drink a little beer in the tavern, sing a little bit of these working girl blues. I keep my nose to the grindstone and work hard every day. Might get a little wild on the weekend after I draw my pay, but I'll go back working. I gotta buy my kids a brand new pair of shoes. Yeah, I have a ball on the weekend, trying to lose these working girl blues. Say, hey, hey, the working girl like me. I ain't never been on welfare, and that's one place I won't be, 'cause I'll be working. Come Monday morning, I'm right back with the crew. I may pick a little tune in a tavern and sing a little bit of these working girl blues. Sometimes I think about leaving, do a little running around, throw my bills out the window, catch a train to another town, but I go back working. Gotta buy my kids a brand new pair of shoes. Oh, no. I may pick a little tune in a tavern, sing a little bit of these working girl blues. So hey, hey, working girl like me. I ain't never been on welfare, and that's one place I won't be, 'cause I'll be working, as long as my two hands are fit to use. Yeah, I'll drink a little beer in the tavern, trying to lose these working girl blues. Yeah, I'll pick a little tune in the tavern, trying to lose these working girl blues. This right here goes out to the man, Mr. Merle Haggard. Gotta keep on working, gotta keep on working. And that's about all there is to my story about that working girl.
That clip was courtesy of Lee Newton's YouTube channel, and what a positive, upbeat, and catchy song. And how satisfying was it when it was released and put onto your album?
All I gotta say is like the whole process from getting to meet Leona, singing with her in the vocal booth, then getting that to be around Pam while she was doing hers and her singing harmony. I mean, these ladies singing harmony with me and me singing it with them. And, Leroy Parnell was super, super just awesome. And I finally, he came here probably 5 minutes from where I live. So I got to go and meet him last month and get on stage and do this song with him at the Don Gibson Theater. And I'm telling you, Eugene Moles, who played with Merle, played the guitar on that, brought that Bakersfield sound. Joe Reed played bass. I mean, it was just, that song is just top notch. And like I said, Merle be like, man, that track is awesome. I could just, I know that he would. He'd be jealous of it.
How long did it take you to write the song and to record the song?
On what? Which song?
The Working Girls Blues.
Well, I didn't write that one. Now that's the one that Merle and then Leona, she's on the album with me, but she's the one to record it. Like we laid down the track, and by the time we had to get pieces put here and pieces put there, it was a total of probably like 2 to 3 months, but it was separate. We were doing other stuff and getting everything else ready with the other songs. But to get the final thing, it was probably 2 or 3 months rounding everything together. And that's why, like, even on this Crossroads album, I can't believe I got all of those artists, everybody lined up, everything done in that one, because it's a lot. It's a lot to, because everybody's got their own schedules and are so busy. And but yeah, Working Girl Blues, I'm proud of every song that I've done so far. But I'm extremely proud of that one, because that one, it was the first time I'd ever had another artist kind of say, believe in me, reach out and be like, okay, I can do this. I'll do this for you, Lee. They didn't have to. They could have easily said, nah, I'm so busy or whatever, but they did it, and that meant so much to me. And it still does to this day, that they took that extra little gut feeling maybe that they had inside and they went with it. So, and gave me a shot to sing with me. So, I know that I'm so super proud of it.
It means a lot when people believe in you. And I know when I first started this process, the first 4 months, I wasn't very good, but I kept at it. I couldn't get guests on. And then all of a sudden I had one guest, an actress from LA, come on, believed in me. And since then, 260 plus guests and people people from your country, Canada, from Australia, have come on my show, and it's unbelievable because I have to be honest, it was hard at the beginning, starting a new career, and when people don't believe in you, but it makes a world of difference when you have people, especially people that are well known in the industry in whatever career you are, believing in you.
Well, I know, and I know you'll understand this because you've been in sports, but I've had even, a lot of events that and people who have reached out to me that I've got to do some stuff with some sporting events. The Clemson University, I've done their golf tournament the last 3 years where I've gotten to perform and I've gotten to sing the national anthem. And I'm telling you, those guys have been so nice to me. They have I'm kind of like their little sister, and they've been so awesome. And I just got through announcing just a couple weeks ago that I'm going to get to do the concert at Lucas Oil Race at the Show Me 100 in Wheatfield,
Awesome.
Missouri, which is like huge because it's in front of like 10,000 people, and I get to do a concert, a pre-concert, then I get to be the grand marshal, and I get to sing my song Red, White, and Blue. I get to do the national anthem, and that was another thing where they had two huge artists before. They had Aaron Tippin the year before. They had Lee Greenwood the year before that, and we get back to that thing of somebody standing out on faith and giving you a shot. They have given me a shot, because, a lot of people are going to be like, Lee Newton, who is Lee Newton, but I'm like, hey, they've watched me for a couple of years. They've seen what I've been doing, and they're taking a gamble, and they're like, hey, we're going to have you come and do this. And I'm going to give them the best darn concert they've ever heard. It's going to be so awesome. And hopefully be able to have several more friends to add to my Newton Nation family.
One thing I wanted to ask you, and this is just off the top of my head, do you have your own recording studio, or do you guys like rent out one, or how does that work?
No, we, but my first album, I started going to Omni Studios in Nashville. Bill McDermott, who was my producer, I had reached out to him talking, because I was like, man, he's produced a lot of people. I mean, he produced George Strait. He did work with Emmylou Harris, and he did stuff with Martina McBride. And I mean, the list goes on and on. I mean, I was sitting there thinking, so I wrote him, I'd sent him some of the songs that I had first started writing that I was interested in recording. And so he's the one that first did my first undamaged album. And, when I came back to him and he'd seen how much I'd done, he was like, wow, you've been busy, because I'm sure he gets people that comes in there and maybe records a couple songs, and then they're on their way, or, life happens and maybe they don't do anything with it. But he's the one that did my Unleashed album. And then, Dell and I, got together, and when I started talking to Dell and tell him about Bill, and, and he did a song for Dale 2 years ago. It was the first Christmas song. But Dale fell in love with how he does. And he's our producer. I mean, Bill McDermott is just so awesome. He really has a great ear, and he lets you contribute to what you want. He don't try to change you or change your sound. He lets you, he'll give you suggestions, but usually he kind of pegs you. He knows what you're wanting. I mean, from what you talk to him about, he's super awesome. I would highly recommend him to anybody. But yeah, if you can see though, we got our green. So this is downstairs. This is our studio downstairs. We have our office. We have all of our music memorabilia. But we are in the process of getting everything done to where we have our own, like a practicing studio, a thing where we can do our lives and record some stuff. But we're super excited about that.
One thing I wanted to ask you as well, Lee, for who's ever watching this live streamed or on audio, or my radio station, a cheap plug here, WQEE 99.1 FM, The Key in Metro Atlanta, what advice would you give to somebody who's just starting out in the music industry? What would be the first thing you would say to them?
Well, the first thing, there's no easy way to do anything. It's not like you can do this and you're going to be here. It's all comes from your heart. It's a lot of hard work. Be true to yourself. Have a good support system around you, and be focused and know what you're wanting. What your expectation? What are you wanting from what you're going after? And I know I've had people come and ask me that same question. I'm like, there's really not a lot of advice except for just try to really surround yourself with good people, because I have been fortunate with that, because I'm very strong-willed, and like I said, I've got a sense of common sense. But a lot of young people that come into this business, there are still some of those people out there, unfortunately, that really thrives on people being gullible and promising them the moon. So if people promise you stuff, you better make sure that you don't get no promises. They can't, if they want a lot of money and all that, please just do not do that. Don't be gullible, because that's just not how it works.
Okay, and Dill was saying green screen
Yeah,
studio.
green screen. It's not like a recording studio. It's a green screen. We'll do some lives and stuff on there. Oh, Miss
And
Krista,
Chris,
I love Krista.
yes,
She's from
yeah.
Kentucky.
So I'm just learning to get my audience more involved in my shows as well, and I just want to say thank you to your followers and your fiance for watching this podcast show as well, because I'm trying to build up my audience and brand and spread the word of mouth. And like I said, a podcast is
Yeah.
only as good as its guests. I'm very lucky.
Well, I will be sharing this to everybody too, and I'm sure Dale's already found it and he has shared it. So that's because I didn't know exactly what to share, but I will most definitely get it shared as well too.
And one thing I've learned, and I think this probably goes for the music industry as well, is don't be somebody that you're not. Always be true to yourself. And what
Yeah,
I'm like, when I'm with you right now, is what I'm like in real life.
exactly. And that's me. What you see is what you get. You know, I try to be a good person. I try to make good decisions. I try to be good to other people. You know, yes, I do have my days, and people see them. I mean, I'm very real with people online because you know I love to play dress up, and I love to be silly. I love to dance. I love to sing, but I love having my ball cap on. I love being barefoot. I love dancing in the rain. I love life, you know, and sometimes, we have those moments where maybe we don't feel good, and it's okay to not feel good. And it's okay to have a day where you're even a couple of days where you're just like, oh
Yeah,
gosh, I just don't want to do this, or I just don't want to get up. But you have to allow yourself to have a moment, and then you just get back up and you start looking around and you think, God, you have really, blessed me a lot, and you have to look at those blessings that you got. And
I'm alive. I'm healthy, and I'm doing something that I want to do. And this internet is really amazing if you use it the right way, is the right tool. It really does shrink the world down. And I've met people in industries I never thought I would hear, as such as
oh yeah,
yourself as well today.
yeah, it's even amazing on the recording side. We were just talking about this. Mandel was the other day. Used to, you had to figure it out to where you guys met up in the studio if they were far apart, and now you you can well. Perfect example. I did Long Black Train, or even with Rhonda Vincent. When we recorded, we didn't record even in the same studio. They were both, I think, Rhonda, she lives in Missouri, and Tony Jackson lives in he lives in Virginia. So he sent his vocals here. I say so much technology. And you hear what it turns out. It's like, wow, you're just like almost like you're in the studio singing together. It's pretty wild.
Absolutely. Now, have you ever performed outside of the States, like let's say Canada, or would you be
No,
no?
I would love to though. I
Okay,
would
if
absolutely love to.
because if you ever do come to Canada or the province of Ontario, we call them provinces, which are like states
Uh-huh.
in the States. But if you ever come to Ontario or the Toronto area, please let me know, because I'd be glad to see you perform
Oh,
live in person. And I'd love to continue to promote your music and stuff like that, because I really enjoy your music, and I appreciate
well,
it.
thank you. Thank you so much. And I would absolutely love to do that. That would be super awesome. And if you know of any places, you just send them my way and or their contacts, and we'll try to make that happen.
Okay. And Dell's just saying something. She made a great pirate last week. Pirate. What's going on with that?
I went to my first Ren Fair. I was so excited. And he took me to my first Renaissance fair, and we got to be pirates. So I got to dress up as a pirate, and I'm so excited because it was just so cool. I mean, you got to walk around. Everybody was all in these different costumes, and it was a very great experiences to kind of get a little weekend away. And so I'm saying that's what I was talking about, having somebody to live life with and just be amazing, having fun. He's just like me. So we just have the greatest time. And little Cash, we just have so much fun with him and let him have his imagination. And, it's a great life. God's really what I thought was my life being completely torn apart, God put it all back together the way it needed to be. So
one thing about life too, life it can be short, and like you said, everybody, I don't care who you are, has had to go through hard times in their lives, and you just got to keep the faith and believe in yourself as well. One thing, are you okay for a few more minutes and a couple more
yeah,
quick questions?
yeah.
Okay. The CD industry, is it still, are a lot of songs still getting recorded to CDs, or it's now basically live stream? And do you have any music on vinyl records? I never thought I'd see the day
Ah,
vinyl records are back in.
I know. And they make them so expensive to where, like, gosh, you would have to charge somebody a pretty good little bit just to even barely make anything, but I would love. Now I'll tell you something that that has been in the talks for the near future about the vinyl, because I love the vinyl. I think it would be cool. Like I said, Dale is doing his album. I've done mine. We're eventually going to do a duets album, kind of like the way George and Tammy did. Leona and Merle. And I told him, I was like, it would be really cool if when we do that, if we offer a vinyl one and have all the cool stuff inside of it and have the cover. I just think that would be so awesome. But they still do. We have, right here, this was T.G. Shepherd. He had signed it to me and Dale. But yeah, he has that. People are still doing the vinyls. I mean, we have them all the time. We got a bunch right here. So that would be something really cool. I'd love to do, but they are really expensive. Now CDs, I always usually get CDs because the way the industry works now, and being a songwriter, and I own publishing and I own my songwriting stuff, but streaming, when people stream, you'd have to get a lot of streams and a lot of people on your Spotify and try to be, it'd have to be up there to be able to even kind of make something from it, because it's penny. I mean, like, not even pennies on the. I mean, it's like this part of a penny every stream. I mean, it's very, very minute. It's very little. Yeah. So you, as a songwriter or a musician, you make your money through your shows and your sale of your merchandise. Well, a lot of the cars don't have CD players anymore.
No, they don't. I just bought a new Chevy Trailblazer, and I guess they just figure people don't listen to CDs anymore. I still do, but unfortunately now I don't have a CD player to listen to music. So now I got to listen Spotify and stuff like that.
And see, and like I said, we do. I mean, it's good to get your numbers up, because everybody looks at those numbers like, it's kind of like a popularity thing. Oh, well, she's got that much, or she's got that many. I still do the CDs for the people who I think that, they want it either where they can play it because they still have CD players, or, it's something that they can have personalized of you where you can sign it to them. It's still something that you can offer. I've seen a lot of people do like the downloads, and they're like on a like Edwin McCain. I had sang with him, and he did it was like a guitar pick almost, and it had his picture in this really thick plastic, and he signed it, and it's like you could download the CD from this barcode. Rhonda Vincent has like little USB things or whatever, and hers is like a little I want to say like a mandolin or a fiddle. It's something like that, shaped like that, but we're having to become really creative, because, the market, the way it is,
it's changed. It
has changed. And even on songwriting, when you get played, you don't get a lot of royalties from it. I think my first royalty check was like $2 and something.
Wow. I had no idea. And Dill was saying only what, 0.3 of a cent per stream. Wow. I had no idea.
Yeah, you do not. So, even, and reason I try to get people over to the Spotify or the Apple, just to get the numbers up, just because it is such a popular, when people go to book you, they look at your numbers and see how many people listen to your music, but you don't make anything really from it. People would laugh. They saw what I've made as opposed to what I've put into doing it. So.
And I am subscribed to your Spotify channel, by the way.
Yay!
And your YouTube channel as well. And it's a lot. And for me, I'm trying to build up my audience. It's a lot of work and it takes
It
time.
is.
It takes
Well, and
time.
there's so many social media platforms. You know, TikTok was really good to me when I first started it because it was during the pandemic and not a lot of people were using it for music at that time. Now it's like everybody is. But, you know, I ended up with like almost 150,000 followers there. So I did really good on that. But then it just does not get it out to any of your following. So it's hard to build a loyal base going, you know, with people because they don't see your content. So I still post on there, but I started working on ones that I had not done, like Twitter and YouTube. And, you know, I do a lot with Facebook, some with Instagram, but, you know, it's hard. And you have to use all of those platforms to, you know, every one of them benefits you in some way. So you're crazy if you don't use them to your full advantage. If you're in any kind of situation where you need to promote yourself or your business, because there's such, you know, great platforms to do that. But it is a lot of work.
Absolutely. I do everything myself. I do not have
Yep.
a co-host. I do not have producers. And
Yep.
some nights I'm up to 3, 4 in the morning
I
doing
know.
social and I promote, you know, content creating.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. The past year
Writing
I did over
back, my fingers
Yep.
get just so sore. Sometimes I just have to like take a break. And I used to try to respond to every single body. And, you know, I
It's
had,
hard.
and I would sit up late at night, and then I would just be like a zombie the next morning. But, you know, I try to do what I can do, and I try not to put so much on me to where I feel like I have failed. I'll start the next day and I'll be like, okay, I'll start commenting again on this, you know, or because I want people to know that I do read their stuff.
Yes.
And it means the world to me when they write me stuff. But sometimes, you know, there is a lot of a comment and it's hard to, I don't want to just respond very little because they write some of the sweetest things to me. So I know that it's heartfelt and I take it as heartfelt. So I don't want to just respond very, very quick, you know. So because I appreciate them so much, because if they, you know, they didn't listen or they didn't share my stuff, it all starts with them too. You know, being able to have those relationships with them, it means a lot.
And I just joined TikTok a couple years ago because I always thought, it's for young kids, teenagers. I'm too old for it. But one of my friends talked me into it, and it's been a great experience. I promote my
Uh-huh.
guests like yourself, promote myself, and I
Yep.
promote all my media work on there. And I think I met you on TikTok with one of your videos, by the way. I think
Oh,
one of
did
your,
you really?
I think,
Oh,
yeah, I
okay.
think that's how I discovered you was on TikTok.
Wow.
Yeah.
Oh,
So
that's cool. So I was thinking it was Twitter for some reason. Oh, that's
no, actually,
awesome.
yeah, TikTok, and then I found you on Twitter, and like I said, we reconnected right away, and it's
Uh,
just amazing. I'm still in shock that when I first started this, I couldn't get anyone to come on, and now I've actually had some people contact me to come on, and I'm very lucky, and I'm very humble, and no
well,
matter how successful I get, I'm not going to change.
well, you're going to do just fine, and I'm sure you're going to get plenty, plenty more. I'll be having to beg to be on your show. I'll be
Well,
like, let me.
Well, I just can't wait to one day hear you perform live because I really
Uh,
do like your music, and you're just such a happy, energetic, positive person, and you're passionate about your craft as well.
Oh, thank you so much. And you know, I think it has a lot to do with the way I grew up, and it, you know, the morals that my daddy taught me. You know, my dad most definitely he did a lot of good in those years that I was around him. I didn't have many memories with him, but he sure enough he put a lot of good lessons, life lessons on me. So, and there's
And that's
Troy. Hey,
Troy.
Troy.
Thank you so
Uh,
much, Troy, for watching. I really appreciate it. And is this the first Canadian podcast you've been on?
this is the first Canadian one that I have been on. So this is a first for me. This is awesome.
That's awesome. And you know what? I was lucky too. My mom, she went through a lot when my father passed away, and she dealt a lot. And I became the person because of her too. So I'm very fortunate in
Oh,
that way.
well, then you need to listen to my song, Be the Man.
Okay, I will do
You
that
need to
later this
listen to
afternoon.
that song.
Dude, and then Krista, she's the real deal. I'm also glad I caught this interview. It's been fantastic. Hey, Krista, thank you for watching, but it's the guest. I'm just the host guy that asks questions.
And Krista is so amazing. She's got little Daisy May, and Daisy May one day is going to get up and sing Carolina with me. I just love her. They're from Kentucky and just good people.
Okay. Do you have time for a few more minutes?
What time is it anyway?
It's 1:35.
Oh, we're good. Yes.
1:35. Okay. Okay.
Yes.
I wanted to ask you this question. What was it like winning Album of the Year at the Josie Music Awards and then winning Country Album of the Year award for 21-22 for Undamaged and Unleashed?
Man, I'm telling you, well, the first award that I won, which was Vocalist of the Year, I had not even recorded a song yet. So to get chose when I didn't even have an original song at that time, this was back in 2020. And this is during the time where I was having people in my ear saying, oh, you ain't good enough. You can't do this. You can't do that. And when I won that album or that Vocalist of the Year, I mean, I just wanted to cry because, it just really kind of gave me like a pat on the back, like, hey, you can do this. You got people that want to hear you. You're not this little nobody that people have tried to make you out to be. And then, the next year when I won for Undamaged for the Album of the Year in 2021, that was huge. Because those songs, there was so much heart that had went into those songs because of what I had went through that prior year of being almost completely, literally homeless, to having to rebuild and just kind of and doing all this, trying to keep a smile on my face and keep hope and keep strength and raising little cash and keeping just there was just a lot in here, and just it was just when I got up there to accept the award for Undamaged, it was very, very it was a very humbling experience, but I knew that was another God wink that I was like, hey, this is what you're supposed to do, and then when I won last year, oh my gosh, there's no words to describe it because, it was held at the Grand Ole Opry. It was the JMAs, but it was at the Grand Ole Opry House. So there was a moment when I won the Album of the Year and they called my name and they played, and we had our seats in the front row now. So they called my name, and as I got up to walk on stage, they played my song Strength of a Woman. So when I got up there and looking down at my empty seat in that front row, it was almost kind of like, hey, maybe my daddy's sitting there watching me on the stage of the Grand Ole Opry and my song's playing. I might not be singing, but my song was playing. So it was just, that those are accomplishments, it's an award, and it's a material thing, but just to be recognized for writing your songs and singing and the whole album is just, that's your whole piece of work. That's not for just one song. It's the whole piece. It's everything that went into that album, all those months of writing, all those months of, recording, all the months of putting everything together, doing the artwork. I mean, it's a lot. And to see it all come together at the end, it was, and to win Album of the Year for it, huge, so huge. And then, the JMAs, this will be the fourth year they're actually they're finishing up submissions where you could submit all your stuff to be looked at to see if you get any nominations for this year. It'll be in October at the Grand Ole Opry House, and May 4th is when they will announce the nominations for that. So fingers crossed. Oh, I just love him.
Well, and I'm proud, and I'm now proud to be your new Canadian fan and friend as well.
Oh, thank you so much. This has been awesome. I'm telling you, yeah, I'm my the one thing I'm really hoping is I did submit the video for Change the Ending, which is the one that I wrote for mental illness. And it's, I submitted it for Social Impact Song of the Year and Social Impact Video. So I'm really hoping and praying, fingers crossed, that, maybe I'll get a nomination for them. I'm hoping because that song really has a lot to say, and it touches people. It says stuff that really people were really going through. So
definitely have to check that out. I'm just got 2 more questions I want to ask you.
Okay.
I would love to have you back on as a guest as well, because there's some other stuff I could get into. I could probably talk to you for 3 or 4 hours, but
I'm sure. When I first met my fiance, we talked for 12 hours straight. I mean, I can talk.
Wow. Have you thought about hosting your own podcast show?
Hey, I have thought about that. I literally have thought about that, because I would be able to talk a lot, and listen. I'm a good listener too, but I do like to talk, and I'm good at doing that. So yeah, maybe that's something in the future. Maybe
if you do, I'll have to be a guest on your show.
Of course.
Okay, definitely. I listened to your show, one song yesterday. Can you just tell us about the Red, White, Blue song? What inspired it, and what was it like performing the song on Today in Nashville?
Okay, this song, oh my goodness, it is so special. This song right here started out as one of my friends. I'll tell you a little backstory, and then I'll tell you why it's so special to me. It started out as one of my friends. She had this summer love, and she's so beautiful and has this little blonde-headed, cute little girl. And she found love, and she was posting these pictures of her and her new man and their summer love. And then all of a sudden she's posting this picture of, these army, or the camouflage greens and these red, white, and blue clothes. She said, he's packing these greens and we're packing our red, white, and blue, because he's getting ready to go off. And I'm telling you, it hit me like a ton of bricks. And I'm like, and for 2 weeks, because Dale was on the road, and I'm like, I kept telling him, I'm like, honey, I'm writing a song about this, because I just cannot get it out of my head. I just kept on and on and on for 2 weeks. So I remember getting the first part of it done. I got home and I called him and I played that first little section for him. And I'm like, this is what I've got so far. I said, do you want to write this song with me? And so that night when he got stopped, we got on speakerphone with each other, and that was the first song that we finished. And that was our first, we want to call it like a baby born into the world, because that was a song that, it was the first song that we'd wrote together. And it was, it turned out so beautiful in the studio. And Mike Rogers, he plays with Ricky Skaggs, and he is now with Brothers of the Heart. Well, he's with all of them. He's so busy too, but he plays with Brothers of the Heart with Jimmy Fortune and Bradley Walker and Ben Isaacs. And so, but Michael Rogers sang with me on this song. Tim Watson played the fiddle, and he was actually on the show that you're talking about. He actually plays with Kid Rock, the fiddle player. And so, but this song, I have played it several times since it has been released. And getting to do it on Today in Nashville, I did that one in Caroline. I got to do 2 songs, and both of those songs are very special to me. And having Tim there, and just everybody that played with me, the band was super amazing. Stuart French, he just got through playing the Grand Ole Opry. I mean, he had Lance Derry, which he plays with, he's played with Patty Loveless, played with Randy Travis. I mean, you name it. These are top-notch musicians. Tim Watson on the fiddle, and Ricky Randolph was on the drums, and Joe Reed, who played on Working Girl with me, he was on bass. And so I felt surrounded by great musicians, and getting to do that on that Nashville stage, it was, wow. It was just an amazing moment, because I had never done anything like that before. So being on TV and just, I don't know. It was a great moment. And I felt like, singing it live at 8 something in the morning. Woo! That's a hard thing to do. And, because your voice is not warmed up. So I think it really turned out great to be like 8 something in the morning.
I got to be honest with you. I'm not really a morning person either. I'm more of an afternoon or a night owl.
Oh, well, I'm a morning person, but my voice sometimes is not a morning person. Usually I sound like a little frog in the morning until I get like talking and warmed up. But whew.
That leads to ask me, do you have a vocal coach, or what do you use on your voice to keep it in shape or whatever?
I sing a lot. I sing all the time. I never had a vocal coach. I've never done I don't do any of the exercises. I sing. I sing in the car. I sing in the house. I sing all the time. If I hear something, I'm singing it. And I think that might be, I know over the years it's gotten even better and stronger. And the more I've been in, like even in the studio, my producer, the way he's done certain things and helped me too, has helped me in the way I sing live. But yeah, I've never had any kind of training or anything. I think I've heard some people talk about how sometimes that takes away from what they're doing, like their normal sound, that makes them. So I've always kind of been scared of it.
What's the longest you've ever performed, like concert wise, like just performed like 2-3 hours, 1 hour? And do you drink a lot of water or tea after a performance?
No, I drink a lot of water. I am a huge water and coffeeaholic. Both of them. Okay. I'm a coffeeaholic, so I have to drink a lot of water. I don't sing as long as I used to, just because of what I do now. It's more like a small concert, or I'm opening up. So usually that's 4 or 5 songs, or like this, the racing one's going to be 45 minutes to a 50-minute concert. But back in the day, in my bar scene days, where I would play every Friday, Saturday night, lugging in all the equipment, and going and eating the Waffle Houses at 4 or 5 o'clock in the morning, those nights, oh my gosh, I would sing 4 to 5 hours straight.
Wow.
And you talking about, oh yeah. And we played, everything. Like I said, I sang, I wasn't just sitting there. It was a show, and we put on a show. We did everything that you can possibly even imagine as far as music wise, and just put on one heck of a show. And I would be drained. I would just, but even after those shows, this is how I've always been. We play these shows, and I would be the first one at the door at the end of the night. And as everybody was leaving, I'm telling everybody, thank them for coming, because, they hung around with me and they came out to see the show, and I wanted to tell them thank you and tell them bye. And a lot of those people are still my friends today. They followed me all these years, so most definitely, I've had a lot to talk about throughout the years. So.
And I try to do that with my audience as well. And I've made so many, not just connections on here, but I've made so many new friendships. And my podcast really isn't a local podcast. It's really international. And I've been very lucky. And Krista, who's watching this, says, I'm glad I caught this interview. I'm loving it. Well, thank you, Krista. It's the guest that makes the show good. I'm just the host guy. I'm just the host. So.
Oh, you're more than just the host guy. You're awesome. You're asking amazing questions.
I think my former profession, which I wasn't happy in a way helped me prepare for this, because in my 20s, I was very shy, and I don't think I would have been ready for this. So I think in a way, I won't name my other company, but having to deal with the public for 20 plus years at my other job, I think has helped me prepare for this, because I think I've learned how to speak better to people and the public, and try to ask good questions. And sometimes questions come right on my head. I've learned how to do ad-libbing as well, because when I first started this show,
you're awesome. Yeah.
So I'm still a work in progress, I tell people.
I think we're all still a work in progress. Like I said, if we ever stop learning or think that we're at the point where we're perfect, we might as well just turn around and just sit down, because we're not.
Okay. It is 1:49, so I'm going to wrap this up because I know you got to leave. But can you just tell my Canadian audience here about your next tour dates? And you answered the second part already about Canada. Hopefully one day you will. But your next tour dates, and where can my audience follow you on social media and your website?
Yeah. Okay. So, the tour date's coming up. I'm going to be playing in Missouri at the Lucas Oil Show Me 100, which I'm super excited about. I'm going to be opening for Randy Travis in July. I'm co-hosting a music awards show actually this weekend. I'll be performing at it. I'm just constantly adding different shows throughout the year, but you can go and find all of this information at LeeNewtonOfficial.com. It has everything on there. I have so many cool little things that just kind of pictures of the people that I've met. I always say, standing on the shoulders of giants, because those are the people who have helped me. But yeah, it's got everything on there. My store on there. There's there's all kinds of stuff. There's some music on there, but please check out me on Twitter, TikTok. It's all Lee Newton Music, and Facebook. Tell me that you see me from this show, and I will be like, hey, I'll accept you as a friend. I'll be like, hey, I know you.
Definitely. And if you can give me about maybe 20, 25 minutes, I'll have this episode downloaded to my audio platforms. And I want to say thank you to everyone watching this live on YouTube, Facebook, Twitter, Twitch, and LinkedIn as well. And like I said, I definitely would like to have you come back on again in the future, Lee, as a guest. And if you do any performances that are linked, I would love to watch your shows on live stream as well. And that's another thing about this technology now too. Yes.
Well, I would love that, and I would love to come back on your show, and I wish you much success. I know that you're going to do well.
Well, thank you so much, Lee. And I will be listening to your music the rest of the day on Spotify. And I will definitely have this podcast episode circulating on audio and my video forms as well. And I will let you know when it airs on the radio station in Atlanta, Georgia. Who would have thought a Canadian kid or a Canadian man would have a radio show on a Atlanta, Georgia station? So I've been very blessed.
Awesome.
I've been very blessed.
Very awesome. Very
hard work.
Blessed, and he's good. Well, and he's going to keep on blessing you. So.
And I just want to, before I let you go, I want to say thank you to Dale, Krista, and Troy, and everybody from your YouTube channel for watching this show as well. And hopefully I just continue to grind away. And I'm looking forward to keeping in touch with you on social media. And good luck with your career going forward as well.
Well, thank you so much, and I wish you the same success.
Okay, Lee, thank you so much. And you have a great rest of the afternoon, and we'll definitely keep in touch with you on social media.
You too. Thank you so much.
Thanks, Lee. Bye.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye. All right, guys, I hope you enjoyed season 5, episode 47 today with my guest, Lee Newton. She's a Nashville recording artist, singer, and songwriter, and really talented musician. So please check out her website as well. And also she's on Spotify as well. And I got another comment on here before we wrap this up. Let's see. Troy, thank you, Chris. Troy, thank you so much. Dale, Krista, everybody for watching us on live stream on YouTube, Facebook, Twitter, Twitch, and LinkedIn as well. And I will have this show downloaded to my audio platforms in a few minutes as well. And it will be on WQEE 99.1 FM, the Key in Metro Atlanta as well. And I will let you guys know this as well. Also, guys, just to let you know, quick turnaround today. Next Live with CDP Sports Talk, Season 5, Episode 48, sponsored by Barry Cullen Chevrolet. Tonight, Wednesday, April 26th, 6 p.m. with my guest, Mookie Hawkins, sports director with Power 96.5 FM and WUFO 1080 AM in Buffalo, New York. And Mookie is also the Bills reporter. So if you're a big Buffalo Bills fan, Buffalo Sabres fan, Buffalo Bandits fan, tune into Live with CDP tonight at 6 o'clock with Mookie Hawkins, my guest, and I'm looking forward to speaking to him as well. And Chris, viewer, it was great. Hey, thank you so much, Krista. Like I said, I'm still work in progress. This is only my 267th episode, but it's great guests that make a great podcast. I'm just a host guy here, and Lee is a great guest, and I'm really appreciative of Lee giving me an hour and a half of her time to come on today. And again, I want to say thank you to everybody watching this live streamed and also on my audio platforms as well. I'm going to wrap this up, guys, because I'm going to be back on the air at 6 o'clock tonight. But again, if you guys want to, you guys can follow my guest Lee at Lee Newton Music on Twitter. And her official website is LeeNewtonOfficial.com as well. And please check out her music on Spotify and all the live streaming services as well. So let's see, guys. We're going to wrap this up. Again, Live with CDP Sports Talk is live streamed on YouTube, Facebook, Twitter, Twitch, and you guys can check out my website at beacons.ai/Chris D. Palme as well. And finally, guys, before we go, Live with CDP Sports Talk, again, is brought to you by Barry Cullen Chevrolet Dealership, 905 Woodlawn Road West in the Guelph Auto Mall. Check out barrycullen.com for the newest selection of new and pre-owned GM vehicles, or give them a call at 519-824-0210, or email at info@barrycullen.com as well. And before we wrap this up, guys, it is truck month at Barry Cullen Chevrolet. 2023 Silverado pickup truck 1500, 3.49% financing for up to 72 months. Eligible Costco members can receive a $750 bonus on select trucks as well. Again, thank you to Barry Cullen Chevrolet for sponsoring me. And thank you for Ryan O'Neill from WQEE 99.1 FM and Metro Atlanta for having me on his network weeknights at 8 o'clock as well, guys. You guys can also follow me on TikTok at Live with CDP. I post a lot of content there as well. And also, StreamYard is the official live stream provider of Live with CDP Sports Talk. If you're into webinars or podcasting like I'm myself, I would highly recommend StreamYard as well. And finally, guys, before we wrap this up, Live with CDP Sports Talk podcast. The audio version is available on iHeartRadio, Amazon Music, Google Cast, Anchor FM, Apple Podcasts, Breaker, Pocket Casts, Radio Public, Spotify, Castbox, LinkedIn, Stitcher, and Tuned In. And again, on weeknights at 8 o'clock Eastern on WQEE 99.1 FM as well. And you guys can also always email or text Live with CDP Sports Talk at cpalme19@gmail.com, or text the show at 519-820-7188 as well. And I'm just going to read one more comment. Troy, you're doing good, buddy. Hey, thank you, Troy. I really appreciate it. I'm one of my harshest critics, and it takes time to get into a new career. But again, I've been very lucky to have such great guests on as today in Lee Newton and people watching this show. And it's really not a Canadian podcast show now. It's an international podcast show. And I'm very appreciative of the opportunity. And this is something I have a passion for as well. And I hope you will consider following me here on my social media platforms as well, guys. So that's about it. Again, I want to say thank you to Lee Newton, a Nashville recording artist, for coming on here today. And again, check out her social media and her website as well. And that's about it. Guys, I hope you guys can tune in clock with season 5, episode 48 of Live with CDP Sports Talk. Again, with Mookie Hawkins, the sports director with Power FM 96.5 and WUFO 1080 in Buffalo, New York. And he's the Buffalo Bills beat reporter. So if you guys are into sports, in Buffalo sports specifically, tune in tonight at 6 p.m. Eastern with Mookie Hawkins. Again, thank you to Lee Newton and everybody for watching and listening to Live with CDP Sports Talk. And we'll see everybody this afternoon or this evening at 6 p.m. for another edition of Live with CDP Sports Talk, brought to you by Barry Cullen Chevrolet, and weeknights at 8 o'clock Eastern on WQEE 99.1 FM. Have a great afternoon, everybody, and we'll see you in a 4 hours for my next podcast show.